Welcome, Erica. How are you tonight?
I'm really good. How are you?
Good. So I'll just start with, of course, like a pun. People always talk about like you should go follow your passion, and you have an interesting business to talk about. And I have to wonder, did you have a passion for that business?
No, there was no passion there. There was just I needed a change. I needed to do something different than what I was doing. And at that moment, I looked outside and seen my dog using the bathroom. And I said, "That's it. That's what I'm gonna go do. I'm gonna go scoop dog poop."
There you go. All right. So let's get this out of the way. Name of the business. How would someone contact you? Where do you service? Things like that, and then we'll get into the fun stuff.
All right, so the business name is Krupin's Poopin Scoopin. We are located all over the internet as Krupin's Poopin Scoopin at on Facebook, Instagram. Website is www.poopinscoopin.com, and you can just give us a quick Google search and you'll find us. Oh, and I have a YouTube channel which is Krupin's Poopin Scoopin.
Nice. So all the content that I see is that all on Krupin Scoopin Scoopin, even when it has nothing to do with scoop and poop.
What do you mean? Like on my YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the YouTube channel, I started that when I left my hospital job because I worked there for 14 years. And when I left, I just made a video and uploaded it on YouTube. And it's just kind of like a documentation for myself and for others on how to start a poop scooping business, how to grow it, how to manage it, little tips and tricks. And all around, a lot of the stuff that I use in my business is the same for other service-based businesses. So just because it's for poop scooping doesn't mean another service industry can't utilize that information.
Right. And that was one of the things that I enjoyed personally. And that was one of the reasons I was like, all right, you'd be great to talk to because part of my goal with having these conversations, sometimes it's real estate focused, right? Like I have to bring real estate information out as much as possible. But at the same time, how boring is it if every week I just talk to like other people that do what I do? I mean, like at some point the industry is the industry, right? At some point, like right now the market's hot, in 6 months maybe it's not, and we're just going to be repetitive. So I wanted to switch that up. And when I talk to even agents, I love to know like, why did you get into the business? If I talk to a mortgage lender, why did you get into the business? And I think you have a unique perspective from the fact of, you've started what I presume is kind of like a tough business to start, really, because like it's a need, but like to convince somebody pay you to scoop their dog's poop. And I'm sure if you charge more than $10, people are like, "Oh, it's just poop and scooping. Why are you charging so much?" And like because every business person runs into it, right? And
Yeah.
so like I just felt like you probably had some unique perspectives, or not unique, but like good perspectives on starting a business. So, I would love to know like that story. I mean, day one, you leave a job and get into business on your own. Like, what are you thinking at that time? Because we're all crazy for doing it, for the record.
Yeah, for sure. So I took the safe way. I started the business. I got a DBA. Well, backtrack. I had a conversation with my husband. His last name is actually Krupin. That's my married name. So this business was something that they all kind of joked around about when they were kids, him and his brothers, like Krupin's Poopin Scoopin. I heard it for a long time because I've known my husband ever since we were like 7. Like we go way, way back. And I was in the medical field, but I just knew I needed a change. I had went back to school. My heart wasn't really into it, but I was still going to continue because I said I was going to do it. My husband was paying for the school. Well, I ended up not getting into my physical therapist assistant program. And I remember like laying right behind me looking up at the ceiling. And when I got the denial letter, I felt like I could breathe. I was like, thank God. So I called him. I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I didn't get accepted into the program, and I want to be super transparent with you. I'm relieved.
Mhm.
I don't want to reapply." And he was like, "Me too. I need you home. That was a very stressful time." So he was basically just like, "We'll figure out what you want to do," while I was still working at the hospital. And I started selling jewelry for Premier Designs, which that actually taught me how to run a business. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, multi-level marketing, pyramid schemes." Will be forever grateful because the amount of sales training that I got within that company, like I would have to pay thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So I took everything that I learned from that and I just said, I'm going to give that Poopin Scoopin thing a try. Went and got my DBA literally like the next day, did some research online and just went all in. I did the research. I contacted people that were in the industry. I'm not a very shy person anyway, so I have no problem being like, "Hey, I seen you online. Can you give me any tips?" So that's
Hmm.
what I did. I kind of just got little tips from people. And I was a little nervous to post this online because I'm in the medical field. I'm surrounded by, professionals in the pharmacy. I was also selling jewelry, so I was very fabulous all the time. And now I'm going to be like, "Hey, I'm going to scoop dog poop." So everybody's going to think that Erica's lost her mind. Erica's crazy. My dad thought I was crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy, except for my husband. My husband and me, like we knew I was good. So I took my 2000 Chevy Cobalt, I put a hitch and a cargo trailer on the back of her, got a bag of trash bags, a rake, a bucket, came up with a business name, got a little logo, and just threw it out there on Facebook. And it was crickets, nothing. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? So I just used my personality and my humor and just kind of came up with funny things and posted it online. And then finally, I got one customer and I was so nervous. I was like, I underbid it. Took me forever to do the property, but as time went on, it built that momentum, and I just kept going. And if people made fun of me, I just kind of shrugged it off and knew, like, I just felt it deep down inside. I'm like, I know this is going to be something great. I believe in myself, so I can't worry about what everybody else is going to think about me right now because my happiness is on the line right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. Depending on how somebody's listening to what you just said, someone may have just heard you tell how you started a business. But what they should hear you say is you looked into how to start your business, you followed mentors, basically, I mean, leadership mentors, whatever right term is. You focused by not listening to negativity around you, and you stuck with it, right? And those are all the things, whether you're Jeff Bezos, whether you're, Erica Krupin, whether you're Joe Muck, those are all the things that everybody who is doing some sort of business plan has to do. And most people that when they've decided to go out on their own, they're told they're crazy, right? Because why? It's not guaranteed. You don't have a guarantee that this Christmas you're going to have, clients still, right? Or that they're going to be ready for you to come back in the spring, or however your business works. I don't have a guarantee that next month people are going to want me to help buy and sell houses. And so you just have to trust in yourself, and you have to like focus on the right things. And I know that, my wife is smarter than I am, right? And I'm like, why don't you just open an office? And she is definitely afraid of being on her own. She loves that comfort of working for a hospital and having somebody else make the big decisions, right? And not having to worry about insurance, not having to worry about, and that's the way most people operate. And that's great because, like, we all need those people too. Like, you need all the jobs that are out there and all the jobs that aren't out there. So, like, I love kind of like hearing that type of thing. Like you knew that a certain direction wasn't the right one. I'm sure that was more appealing to friends and family. Oh, my daughter, she's going to be a physical therapist or an assistant or whatever. Um, Versus like, let me introduce you to my daughter. She scoops poop. You know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I I do remember very vividly a couple of like the pharmacist and this one technician in particular. He's like, "You'll be back." When I finally put my 2 months in, I
Uh huh.
said, "I won't be back." They're like, "Everybody comes back." I'm like, "I literally have no desire." And then I had a pharmacist. They're like, "You think this is a smart idea? You're giving up paid vacation. You're giving up your 401k match, your health insurance." I'm like, "Well, I figured out my retirement. I'll pay for that myself. I figured out the health insurance, and I know that I can't work here anymore because I literally think about calling in every single day. I get sick to my stomach, and I'm just not a good employee."
Yeah.
I at towards the end, I was a terrible employee, and I know that, and so that's when I knew it was time for me to go. Because thinking about it, like, if I had an employee like myself, I would want to fire that employee.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm looking at some inter-office like leadership role, and one of the things I had to think was, in some ways, I'll have to be an employee doing that, right? Like, I won't have to give up what I'm doing currently. And the reason for me to do it is, just based on my liking to, work with like education and help and reaching out and teaching and that type of stuff. But also, like from my owner's perspective, he's like, he wants someone that cares about the company, and that's me, right? Like, I think about the company.
Mhm.
But on the flip side of that, I'm okay with guidance, but I'm going to struggle with, no, you have to do it this way if that ever comes
Yeah.
up, right? I don't know that it will, but I'm like, I don't know. It's been, prior to real estate, I had a moving company. So I mean, it's been like 10, 11 years since I've even had somebody to report to, let alone, so it's a different like lifestyle. And I'm a great employee because I care about the company, because I put the company first and stuff, but I have my own thoughts, and sometimes they're wrong. But if I believe in it, I want to do it. And I don't think I'm ever going to run into that issue. And I think I have the type of owner that I can have those conversations with, and we can come to an agreement. But it's something that's crossed my mind for sure, because it's a different mentality when you wake up every morning, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a balance, because the awesome thing about being your own boss is you're your own boss. You do your thing. But the bad thing is when you don't feel like doing your thing and you're having a tough time, you're your own boss. You
Hmm.
still have to do it. You still have to wake up. You still have to show up. And I'm at the point in my business where I have a staff member, but the business can't run without me. So some days I'm like, I wish I had somebody that could just do it for me. And then, but I I don't have that option anymore. So there are times where I would like to work for somebody else, but I know I wouldn't be happy because I can't do my own thing. And I enjoy the creative aspect of running my business. And that was something I struggled with when I first started, is with marketing material and doing this and doing that. I'm like, can I post this? I'm like, Erica, yeah, you can post this. You're your own boss.
Yeah.
It's your business. You can post whatever. You don't have to ask anybody. And that's something I've really struggled with growing my business and making changes. I always feel like I need to ask somebody else if it's okay. And I'm just now getting to the point where I'm confident with my own decisions.
Hmm.
That's taken it's taken 3.5 years.
Sure.
It was a rough transition. There's this book that talks about the transition and the mindset between the two different your employee and then being self-employed. And I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it was a really good book.
Yeah. Well, and you said something too about multi-level marketing, and we all probably have encountered somebody who basically is running a borderline pyramid scheme, or that's how they think it should work. But the reality of what you said there, with like, it's they provided training for you to be able to start a business. There's a bad name out there. His name is Donald Trump. People may have heard of him, but in a book that he wrote with what is it, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy,
Yeah.
they wrote a book together. And one of the things that they talked about was multi-level marketing, and nothing could train you for business better. And I don't think that uh, they're earth-shaking information with what they're saying there. I think that there's accuracy to it. Of course, there's other things that maybe could train you better, but that
But
is a
they drill
great
it. They drill it into your head, and it's like
yeah,
so repetitive to where it becomes second nature. And I think that's why I'm so good with my sales, is because being in multi-level marketing is hard. Like nobody wants to buy overpriced jewelry.
right.
Nobody does. But I was able to be the top seller for like 6 months in a row. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I got people to buy $80 necklaces.
Right, right. And the other thing about it is, you become like vulnerable, you put yourself out there, you're willing to have conversations, right? And when you're in sales, even the most technological, like what we would call like a nerd, job or something, they still have to have conversation, even if it's like some level that most people don't understand, right? It's all about a conversation of some matter. And it's not convincing somebody, so to speak, but it is, right? Like you're not like trying to trick them into it. You're just convincing them that if they're going to do it, they should do it with you. If they're
Yeah.
going to buy a necklace, they should do it with you. If you're going to buy a house, you should do it with me. If you're going to, like that type of thing. And funny enough, like in our industry, people always say like, don't be a secret agent, right? Like you have to make sure that people know that you're in real estate. You have to let people know that you have a business because, you know, there's somebody else doing it, first of all. So if I don't know that you're doing it, then I'm going to Google it and use somebody else. If you're in a business like mine, you probably have 3 or 4 or 5 friends that are doing it. So you have other contacts. So you have to like put yourself out there. You have to be willing to have the conversation and that type of thing. And a multi-level marketing job teaches you that, or at least if you do any good at it, then it taught you that. So I think it's a great step for anybody, honestly. I really do.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to experience like that success or failure, because it's good for you either way, because you can learn from your mistakes. And a lot of times when you do get into the multi-level marketing, it's like low entry to get
Hmm.
into it. Some people can get in a lot of debt, and that can be a whole nother situation. But say for instance, my jewelry business, it closed down. It didn't really cost me a ton of money, but the value I got out of it. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great thing. So it's interesting that that was kind of your entry into business. And so you're a few years into it now. Like, you're not looking back. What's the vision? Like what's the long term, you know, what's your 3 5 year plan? No, like so, like what do you want it to be? Do you want to continue to be like out there regularly, or would you like to eventually be behind the scenes managing the business while people are doing the laborious tasks?
I struggle with that because I do struggle with leadership. That's something I'm working on right now. I'm actually in therapy right now to help me overcome some uh, self-limiting beliefs that I'm going through with myself and the confidence thing. I've gotten to a certain point in business where I'm good, but I'm ready to go to that next level where I'm going to pull myself out a little bit more and let my staff run it. But that comes with complaints, that comes with letting go of control, and that's something I'm struggling with because this is my baby. I
Mhm.
built this up from the ground on my couch from my 2007 Cobalt. So my 3 to 5 year plan is obviously stay in business. I want to bump my revenue up by like maybe another 75 to 100,000 per year. That's definitely a goal. And I want to shop. I want a KPS headquarters with parking, a dumpster, a coffee table, and a coffee pot where we can have team meetings. I can store all my supplies. We can all park there and just have like a good like company what is it, like company morale, because I mean we do have good company morale, but we don't see each other. We don't
Right.
high five each other in the morning, or
Mhm.
a lot of communications done via text message or in my front yard. I would like to kind of get my work life away from my home life.
Sure.
So
And I
that's
do
kind
think
of.
that's a big thing, right? Like, it was pure irony that I started transforming this room into an office before COVID, but literally right before like that December. So December 2019, this was a toy room. And if you go back and find older videos, you see like a bright orange wall, and that's because it was a toy room, and we had a
Yeah.
TV and an Xbox, and kids' toys and stuff. And it's like, okay, you guys aren't really playing with toys. I mean, they are, but my kids were old. So we kicked them out, and I bought a little desk from Costco, and I was like, all right, at least I have a place to work. And then as the things progressed and the year progressed and there wasn't an office to go to, it was like, all right, now we're going to rip out the carpeting and make this like an official space, and but with that being said, like having a place to go to, sometimes now, now that things are more open, sometimes I will leave just to get out of the house, just to have like a different setting to change your mindset and that type of thing. And I certainly, if I hired someone, wouldn't want to meet them at my house daily. Right.
Right.
So I get what you're saying and I understand and I believe there's a lot of truth to that concept, you know?
Yeah, especially if you have to have those like a difficult conversation. I don't
Right.
want to have the difficult conversation in front of my house. If my employee gets there early and I'm in my house robe.
Right.
Or
Right.
if he needs something and I'm like, oh man, I just got out of bed.
And
So
I mean, we don't know each other. We know each other via Facebook, and because each of us are social media like whores, we probably know each
I,
other quite a bit, actually. But,
I
but
know
and I say that because right now your house is under some construction.
it
Again,
is
you're always doing something. You don't have a new
always.
bed, and so imagine too. With all that, you're having your meeting with your employee, and you're like, "Come to my bedroom right now. We got to have a conversation."
I know, right? That'd be wild.
uh,
Gotta come to the office.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely some reasons to have those goals. I think they're definitely attainable, but I think they're important, right? To have that home base. When I had a moving company, there were a lot of days where I dreaded waking up and starting the day because I knew what we were in for. But in the morning, all the guys were there. They were getting their coffee and getting the truck loaded, and there was a quick moment to tell some jokes, rip on a guy for dropping something, a couple weeks ago, something like that,
Yeah.
and so there was that like camaraderie, that morale, all those, like buzzwords that are actual things though in a business. So, I definitely think it's a good, thing to strive for, and I'm sure you're going to achieve it.
Thank you. And another thing is kind of important is I didn't realize that when you set your Google listing up, your business comes to your address that you have, and so my address pops up online, my
Yeah.
home address, and I don't like that, especially with me being all over social media and the way that I am. I'm like, I had to hurry up and get that off as much as possible, but I mean, I still can be found.
Hmm.
And what if there's an irate customer one day, or one day I might hire somebody and it doesn't go well, and they have to be like terminated, and then they know where I live. I don't know where they live.
Yeah. Well,
You
it's
know,
funny, like,
I think,
because of the way Google works, I can't list my um, like business name at my office because it understands that my office is next to Home All Pro Realty.
yeah,
Oh, and the only thing I could do is maybe set up like a suite in there, right? Like kind of like a fake one almost, and say that I'm at this address, suite 1A or something like that. But so I have this a similar thing, and I think about that a lot, right? Because even when I'm driving home on maps, like if I'm trying to figure out how I should get home from a showing, it says like uh, heading to J Muck Realty, and I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, I guess. And then there's been some times where friends are here, and they're like, "Hey, did you want a review?" Google's asking me for a review of your business, and stuff like that.
That's
So
hilarious.
it's kind of tricky, but you got to do what you got to do because otherwise you can't be on the number one, search engine in the world. So that's you got to suck it up, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, but that kind of like you made me think about, because you said you never know and you might have an irate customer and what have you, and so like you do put a lot out there, right? Like you talk about your home construction and stuff, and I asked prior to, because I have my own interests, I said one of the things that you've put out there is some I guess the lack of better term is plastic surgery.
Well,
um
technically, it'd be cosmetic surgery because
there we
there's
go.
no plastic involved.
Yes, cosmetic surgery. So
Yes.
I'm a person who, I just got somewhat laughed at and somewhat berated for posting about not needing fake eyelashes and eyebrows the other day. And some people really took some offense, like, we're not doing it for men. And I'm like, okay, it's cool. That's just like, I'm kind of joking. But I'm really talking about like those eyelashes that are as long as fingers. That's what I'm really talking about. Like, do what you want. Whatever makes you happy. If you like those finger long eyelashes, then put them on by all means. But, anyways, but I'm a person who, like a couple years ago, we were sitting by our neighborhood pool, and a lot of us were turning 40 within the next 18 months, and we are talking about what to do. And my wife was like, I think a cruise would be great, like just the two of us, and if other people want to come, fine, whatever. And I'm like, a cruise? I'm like, I want lipo, and I've always talked about it. I swear I probably could do steroids and not have like a six pack. I'm just not built that way, And so while it's not to get a six pack, it is to, take away some belly fat and maybe some other areas, whatever. But I've never met with or consulted with any surgeon to do it, or any other doctor for that matter. And I just talked about it. So when I saw that you did something, I was like, I would love to know more about that. So and with that, you've also kind of shared like, yeah, some of this wasn't what it was cracked up to be. So like, take it away.
So since me and my husband have been together, I've gained like 40 pounds. I put on some weight, and I carry a lot of my weight in my stomach. And then it carried over. It got into my arms, it got into my neck. It was just everywhere. Like, and I just wasn't happy with the way that I looked. And I wasn't really committed to losing the weight like I should have. And so I was like, I'm going to get lipo. What I didn't realize is with the lipo, yes, they suck the fat out, which is all fine and dandy, but there's a lot of work that goes in afterwards. And if you gain weight after, it goes in like other places. So now I realize like I probably should have lost more weight before I went in. Because right before my surgery, I put on probably like another extra 7 pounds because I was like, I'm getting it sucked out. Who cares, right? And so even though I am happy with the results, I'm already like, oh, I want to go in for a second round because there are some areas that weren't able to be sucked out because you can only take out 5 liters max. And I
Okay.
got my arms done, I got my stomach done, I got my back done, and then I got it transferred to my upper area. And even though I'm happy with the results, it's like a psychological thing. If you're not happy with yourself, anyways, it doesn't matter how your body looks. You're still, unless you fix your brain, you're not
Hmm.
going to be true. You're not going to be truly happy. Um, and so I'm like, I should look like those Instagram models because of the pain I went through and the amount of money I spent. So I think it's really important when you go in is you are pretty much to your goal where you want to be because it's not going to be like this miraculous like me all snatched, and just have like realistic expectations and know that it's going to take a good year for your body to actually heal, and it's going to be different. Like I have different sensations now, like in my stomach area. I need to have like a shirt tucked into my pants because I don't like my pants touching my stomach now, which I never had a problem with that, but it feels weird. I'm like, ugh.
Like overly
And
sensitive or
yeah, it's still
okay.
overly sensitive. I just don't like the way it feels. And I still have some swelling. I go in hold on. Next in 2 weeks. I go into 2 weeks to for the 1 year like post-op thing to kind of check it out, make sure everything's good.
So how did you find that doctor? How did you feel? Because like that's to me my biggest concern, right? My biggest concern with any cosmetic surgery, even when it's like a quote necessary surgery, is how do you know like this is the right person? Like it's a big deal.
I went on realself.com. It's a website
Okay.
that you create an account on, and then you can just look up testimonials, and people post like real pictures, like before, afters. They're not photoshopped, so you get to see all the things. And I did my research and I found this one doctor. I called her, I had a consultation with them, and I like their vibes. And I'm like, okay, I think they're gonna do a really good job. And overall I'm super happy, but I need to get into the gym.
Mhm.
That's what I really need to do because I got so much fat sucked out of like my stomach. I have a lot of loose skin, so I need to run a lot more and really kind of like tighten that stuff up.
Yeah. And of course, like you were never like huge, but I mean like really big people that lose a lot of weight sometimes even need the surgery to like remove some of that loose skin. So I mean,
Yeah.
but you're
I
right.
don't
Like,
and I'm hoping I don't need to have that because I actually haven't had children, so I don't have stretch marks, and I've been doing my research, and that's what I'm going to talk to her about. Because from what I found, like if you have the stretch marks, then your skin won't like retract back.
hmm,
So I'm hoping that mine will go down, but she'll let me know kind of where I stand with that. Because I'd be bummed out if I had to have a tummy tuck. That's not something I don't really want to do that
yeah.
because that's an even larger scar and that's more work, and my husband will lose his whole mind. His whole head will just explode.
So scarring is like another thing, right?
Yeah.
Especially because you do these surgeries. you might want to show off your body more or what have you. And even if you don't want to, like it's summertime, so there's less clothes. It's tank tops, it's bathing suits, it's whatever. So like, yeah,
Yeah,
what's
the
that?
scarring, they're like really tiny. They're like like 3 I think it's called millimeters,
Okay.
maybe. Or centimeters or millimeters bigger. I don't know. But they're very tiny. And I have some like here, back of my arm, like on my lower back. And then you get scar revision treatments too. Usually you get 3 of those with your surgery.
Okay.
So that helps. And then if you have a scar that's really bad and you want it covered up, a lot of people just get tattoos over them.
It's a good idea, I suppose. Um,
Yeah.
so like, would you recommend it to somebody if someone was like,
Oh, yes.
yeah,
I have like my shape. I love my shape. I absolutely love my shape. The only thing that I am not happy about is like up. You can't see, but like the upper part, I wish I would have gotten more lipo in the upper part because where I curve down at the bottom is kind of smaller.
sure.
So when I sit down, like I get that muffin top over top of my pants up towards the rib. But that's just me. I literally I still need to lose
Hmm.
a good 20 pounds because
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm like 5, 5'4", and I'm 178 pounds still.
sure.
So I definitely need to the guy at the gym said I need to drop 30. I'm like, 30? 30? What?
Yeah.
It'll be nothing to me. I'm gonna look like this.
I do think. I mean, so that's a whole other thing. So like, I'm a person who I'm certainly not sitting here looking like I'm going to join any competition anytime soon. But I do enjoy working out. I've done so since like 19 years old. Excuse me. I'm currently 40, so I mean it's been a long time, and I've had ups and downs. I've been as low as 165, 170 pounds. I've been as much as about 208, where I was actually fairly muscular, and I've been 208 where I'm kind of fat. And I'm sitting around like 200. But like the big thing is that um, being healthy, right? So surgery can't make you healthy, and
No.
so that's why you need to go to the gym, because surgery doesn't cause, like, it doesn't stop, like, I can't say all these terms, like atherosclerosis or whatever. It doesn't stop heart attacks. It doesn't stop,
Right.
all
The
those things.
visceral fat.
Yes.
I'm
It,
at 14% visceral fat right now, and visceral fat is the leading contributor to heart disease. And
uh
both sides of my family, they all suffer from heart disease. And so that is my main focus. I'm like, yes, I have this flat stomach now, but I'm
uh
at 14% visceral fat. That is not good.
Right. Yeah. And, like, so I recently just had my labs drawn and my cholesterol's a little high. And it was a little high last year too. So there's a trend. It's above where you want it to be, but it's not to a level where anyone's really concerned. But
Right.
I've always had success following like a keto type diet, which of course involves a lot of fat. And so I have to change that, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, because I don't want to take medication unless I must. So I take a few medications every day. But I want as little as possible, especially at my age. Like I'm 40, I don't feel like I need to have like a pill box with all my daily things because I need to figure it out. So working out is a must, and it's just that you have to figure out what's really important, right? It could just be brisk walks that you need versus like heavy training, but definitely the mindset, just like you already hit on with your own mindset for this, your mindset for your business, your mind, like mindset is so important. And you use the word therapy, and it might be a therapist that you talk to, but whether it's therapy, whether it's coaching, mentorship, somebody that helps you keep that mindset is like crucial.
Mhm.
We have a lot of things going on in our world, things that come at you, family and personal things, that you know things that are going on in other countries, viruses, whatever. I mean, like, and it's a lot of distractions and a lot of things that can really take you aback. Like, I get really bent out of shape about like stuff that's going on in Afghanistan right now. So like I try not to even think about it. I don't even watch the news. And so you can't let those things interfere with your daily life. And if you do, it's going to have negative side effects. So mindset is like super, super huge. And I don't know that enough. I think some people put too much emphasis on it, and some people fake it, right? Like some of the fake influencers, if you will, that have all these motivational, quotes to post, and they're 19. And not to say you couldn't have motivational quotes because you're 19, but I'm like, well, what are you motivating? Like, you're
Yeah,
living
like,
your
what do you know?
best life.
And
So,
that's the one thing about my YouTube channel too, like, if it however I'm feeling that day when I'm making a video, like, it's gonna show through. I'm not like a fake it till you make it. If I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna talk to the camera and I'm gonna eat a muffin in a parking lot and tell them like I'm having a bad day and this is what's going on. And I think that's why my audience connects with me because we all go through it.
mhm.
And it's nice when you see people that are online show the truth so you can relate to them and be like, not every day has to be good, but you just keep chugging. You
Right.
figure out how to handle the situation. So yeah, some days I'm like, Poopin Scoopin's the best. And other days I'm like, today sucks. My customers, this, but this is what I learned from it. And
Hmm.
I always try, whatever the situation is, I always try to make it a learning experience so I can be better for the next time it comes. Because it
Well,
will happen again. Just be equipped.
the reality is everything can be a learning experience, even positive things, right? Like
Yeah, all of it.
if you have your best day, then you could look at it and say, well, why did I have my best day? What made it my best day, right? From the moment you woke up to the moment you put your head on the pillow, things happened that you don't feel were like other days. So learn from that. And then also when you think it's one of your worst days, you try to learn from that. I think most people probably just think about like the, crappy times and try to learn from them. And that's important so you don't repeat it, but also just focus on the positive stuff and try to repeat the positives. And I bet you there's less crappy days.
That, like, you're blowing my mind right now. I never thought about that. To be quite honest, that's not something I ever thought about. Like, this worked, so let's do this.
Yeah,
Instead of drinking the coffee right when I get up, maybe have a glass of water. Drink the
right.
glass of water first.
Well, yeah, and like these little things matter, right? Because what you are doing, whether it be, you know, waking up and looking at your phone right away. Well, if you have the potential of waking up and seeing a nasty gram or something like that, that can literally ruin your day, or at least the first hour or two. So then, I have no idea if you wake up and your husband wakes up around the same time you have breakfast, but let's just imagine that you do. So you wake up, you check your phone, you see something bad, you guys sit down, and you're just all like, and he's like, what's wrong? Nothing. Right now, you two are arguing for what reason? Like, and then you go off and do your jobs, and you come home, and you're each on edge, walking on eggshells, because you're wondering, like, is she still mad at me? And for nothing, all
Yeah.
because you saw that someone wants a refund because they say that you missed a turd. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it, you
It's
know?
the truth. And I've been really bad about waking up and checking my phone um because I'm getting close to my channel hitting 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yep.
And so every morning I wake up to see if I gained some subscribers or if I lost some subscribers because that happens. And I know my number. Like I'm at 890 right now before we logged on here.
Uh
And
huh.
so if I see it dip down, I'm like,
Right.
what was it? What caused him to leave? Was it the last joke I made? And so yeah, I do get bummed out, but I try to have it motivate me. And the same thing with like a poop scooping customer. If they're upset about a pile or whatever, I'm like, all right, well, what can I do to rectify this? But yeah, it definitely doesn't like get me all chipper and excited when bad stuff happens.
Yeah. And the same things with things that you're putting into your body, right? It's like
Yeah.
some things are good for you, some things aren't, and they have different effects on you. And so I think you can't focus on everything, right? We don't have the capacity or the, ability, but if you really sit down and focus on what you're doing, and again, like the positive things, if you realize that maybe you need coffee, but you don't need it like the second your feet hit the floor. Maybe you could go 90 minutes before, like because the caffeine does something to your brain, and so does whatever. And if you put sugar in it, or all these things, right? They're all impacting what you're doing. And if you really focus on those positives and try to remember to do those, I think you just have a more successful overall life, whether that means financial success or happiness or all the above, So I do my best, and I certainly do my best, like when something gets me like upset or angry, to um, kind of just let it out right away. the other day I came home, everything started great. Slept in, didn't wake up with a headache like I've been doing lately. Got off to go do my blood work. On the way, we picked up some donuts from the cider mill that had just opened for the season. And then I got to the lab, and they were closed on Saturday. And then something else, and then somebody like made like an illegal U-turn and damn near hit me, or I damn near hit them, I should say. And then something else. So excuse me. So I came home and I just went straight downstairs, put on a boxing glove, and beat the shit out of a boxing bag for a couple of minutes to let out some of the stress. Then we got in the car, and I go, I'm not mad at anyone. I just have to say this. And I'm like, this asshole, and like once I got that out, the day was good. So like you have to find ways to, get rid of the bad and the negativity, in your life. And it's easier said than done for a lot of us, but you know, if you can just chip away at it, I think it's really important.
Yeah, just being intentional. That's the thing. And that goal sheets, vision boards, those all help. It's like a reminder, daily
Mhm.
affirmations, just to keep it at the forefront of your mind because life will cloud the brain, get you all over the place, pulled in different directions. So, like, in front of me is my wall, and I have like a list of things that I have to make sure that I do every single day. Because if not, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, I haven't looked at my books. I haven't done my QuickBooks, and it's been 2 months. And I'm like, then I
Yeah,
got, I got 60 transactions I have to go through, and then I don't remember what I bought at CVS
right.
for the business that day, and I got to find the receipt. So yeah, just stay on top of it, being intentional.
Which is sometimes
Daily.
going back to you wanting like an office to go to. Sometimes that's a good reason again, because I'm not going to drive to my office and then open my computer and look at Facebook and Instagram. Like,
Very
you
true.
know,
Yep.
unless it's somebody asking me a business related question. Like I just drove 20 minutes to get here, wasted, time, gas, things like that. I'm not going to get in and then get on Facebook. I'm going to get to work. Um, and so that's a big difference, between like the two. And it's easier to be focused when you're not in the home. And I think if you are working from home for various reasons, it's important to change your clothes. Even if you want to put on other comfy clothes, literally get out of one pair of pajamas, put on another. Do not wake up with what you wore to bed and start your day, because you're going to kind of stay in that like mindset, like, oh, it's comfy time, like,
Yep, stay cozy. I have, if I'm doing office work at home, I got to get up. I try to put some makeup on because, like, got one time I thought I was having a phone conversation with somebody, but it happened to be a Zoom call. I didn't have makeup on, and I was in like a unicorn onesie. I wasn't prepared. That's why when I asked you, I'm like, is this a video call or a phone check? So I want to make sure I was prepared.
sure.
Um, and I have to brush my teeth. That's one thing that I have to do. That's one of the first things I do in the morning because I can't think straight if I have hot breath.
Mm.
And that's like a non-negotiable for me. Like I'm getting up and brushing my teeth right away.
Well, I think
And it
brushing your teeth
helps.
is a good one. Yeah, it's a good one to choose.
Well, I mean, I always brush my teeth, but I'm saying like if I want to do something productive, that has to happen first and foremost, within like the first 7 minutes of me waking up.
Anybody that thinks like what you're saying right now is crazy, comedian Bert Kreischer talked about this on his own like podcast with Tom Segura. That basically he is the opposite. He's like, why would I wake up and brush my teeth when I'm going to eat? I'm going to drink coffee. I'm going to do all these things. So he doesn't like brush his teeth for a few hours, and like they were like, "You're crazy." And then, of course, people were sending messages like, "Bert's right. That's what I do. Bert's and crazy." Like, so there's a lot of people that don't wake up and brush their teeth. So anyone that thinks like, "Well, yeah, no shit. Like, of course you wake up and brush your teeth, Erica." No, not everyone does. There's reasons that
No.
people don't. So you have your thing. I know that you got to run in a few, so I want to kind of circle back. We were talking about your YouTube. We've talked about like your business. Did it all happen organically, or did you do like paid ads and sponsorships?
My first big post that really kind of went viral and really kickstarted my business, that was not a paid ad. That was just a lot of like bootstrap marketing and elbow grease. I posted this one picture, it was like a before and after picture of a yard that had lots of dog poop, no dog poop. Something very short and simple. And I posted that in 47 buy sell trade groups. 47. I was like, I'll get like one or two hits. I left, went to a jewelry convention, and as the speakers were talking, my phone was like boom, 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 just going crazy. That really kickstarted my business. I made like $5,000, and at that time, like I was rich. I was like $5,000. I'm so rich. Um, and then after that, that type of posting really didn't work that much. Then Facebook kind of started cracking down on vulgar posts because people get really upset about the sight of dog poop. I learned, so it's a conversation piece. Oh,
Yeah,
I've gotten called trash. I've gotten called or all sorts of things, but I don't get mad. I just get clever back and forth
sure.
because you never know who's watching in those comments, right? So I don't ever want to be mean. And then I have pushed out, done paid ads, but anytime I've done anything super paid, I've never the rate like the ROI sucks. Like I
Yeah.
I did um a radio ad, not one phone call. I did some type of ad at the movie theater, nothing.
Hmm.
So for me personally, it's word of mouth and just building my online presence. And people like it, and I don't ever have to convince people. Either one, they want the service, or they think it's awful, it's disgusting, they're never going to use it. And then one day something happens. Like this one gentleman had a stroke, couldn't do it anymore. So he had told me that he doesn't understand why anybody would use a service like this. He was calling me. He's like, "Hey, are you still in business?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." He's like, "I need your service." So, or one day people are just like, "I don't feel like doing this anymore. Let
Yeah,
me find one of those companies." So I'm not very pushy. I just create awareness and let people
yeah,
know that this service is available. If you need it, if you want it, if you want to gift it,
right.
whatever.
And that's another reason to not really attack back, right? Because
Yeah.
I could sit here and be like, F you, Erica, like, why would you say that? And then you need something. If I was like rude to you, you're not very likely to come back to me. But if you were rude to me and I was nice, then if you need the service, there's a good chance that you will reach out, especially because I'm probably going to be top of mind because you remember calling me an a-hole or, whatever it was, right? So, like,
Yeah.
it's a different thought process, but you know, I do think advertising certainly can work. I don't think Coca-Cola would, disagree. But to that point, you must advertise a lot and consistently, right? So, like, if you're going to do a radio ad, and I did a radio ad once, and it wasn't cheap. We basically were aired 5 times during the entire an 18-hour day. They didn't really include like from midnight to 6 a.m. Um, 5 radio ad total is nothing when every single commercial break is Hall Financial and so and so and so and so. Tom Lawan or whatever the Kia dealership or whatever. And then you randomly show up. You're going to have to be on the radio for a couple months before anyone really pays attention. Um,
Right. Or you have to have something that's very like eye catching and people don't want to be sold to. They become very like blind and numb to salesy stuff. So that's why with my stuff I try to get as creative possible. Like around Mother's Day, I said something about like get your mother-in-law a crappy gift. And it was like a gift certificate,
yeah,
you know? And so I just try to do, I don't know, things that are like outside of the box that lets people know this service is available, but without being like, buy my service, buy this. Um, I had a magnet that fell off my truck. And so I was like, oh man, where'd that magnet go? So I decided to take a picture of one of my other magnets. And I was like, hey, this one got lost in the struggle around the neighborhood. If you happen to find it, I would love to have it back.
hmm,
That post got like 20,000 like views and got like hundreds and hundreds of shares because people like to help.
right,
People want to help you
yep,
for the most part. And it was a post that I never would have thought would have gotten me so much publicity, but it really did. And they found my sign in the middle of Cherry Hill Road and sent me a picture and was like, it's in the middle of the road between this road and this road. Go get it.
nice,
I went and got it. I took a picture. It was tattered and torn. And I let everybody know that I thank them for their help and I appreciate it. And then everybody was commenting, like, so
yeah,
glad you found it.
that's awesome.
So it's just being creative and thinking outside the box when it comes to marketing. And you don't have to spend a ton of money. The
Right,
trade off is you have to you trade time for money. your
Hmm.
sweat equity. So just if you got money to throw at marketing, do it. You
Yeah, for
don't,
sure. Yeah.
get creative.
Well, and obviously, I have no idea what your margins look like, but I can't imagine that it's crazy high, or maybe the margin is high, but like really like the dollar for dollar rate, because it's not like you're charging thousands of dollars to every customer. So there's a big difference there too with what you're able to do. When we had the moving company, yes, your bill for moving might have been 1,500, but that actually included us paying 3 or 4 guys 15 to 18 bucks an hour, plus their insurance stuff, plus our gas, plus our trucks that broke down all the damn time, plus our warehouse, plus and it's like that $1,500 was not $1,500 to the company or the owner or anybody else. It was
Yeah.
like, so to do an ad, you really had to generate hundreds of leads from it, and we were able to basically pay the ad off with one big job that we got out of it and a couple small ones, and we just couldn't renew. We wanted to. It was an awesome ad, actually. It was very creative, but it was not cost prohibitive. So um, well, I'm gonna hit end, but I need to ask you something off the recording that I'm curious about. So before we do that, is there anything else? And also one more time with your contact information.
Um, well, Krupin's Poopin Scoopin. If you are in need or want to find out information about starting your own dog waste removal business, you can get in contact with me at krupinservices@gmail.com. Krupin's Poopin Scoopin on Facebook, Instagram, and website is www.poopinscoopin.com.
Awesome. All right, I'm hitting end, and then I'm firing away, and away we'll go. Thanks a lot, Eric. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.